Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 683, written by GabrielGaryLutz, a linguistic glitch. Okay, so for about a month, I've been playing this Wordle-inspired game called Lingual, where you're given a non-English word and you have to guess what language it is. A few days ago, I showed this game to a friend of mine, and after like 3 days of us both getting it right in one try, he texted me saying, "Bro, this game is so easy." I laughed and started to type, "Just wait until they give you a word in like Quechua or something," but stopped mid-message for some reason and ended up not sending it. I freaking wish I hadn't deleted it, because guess what the following day's language was? Yep, Quechua. I was so shocked when this happened, but haven't even told him because probably he wouldn't believe me. And why would I delete this message I was typing? And also, what are the odds? There's like 7,000 languages in the world, plus the game also has some of them divided into varieties. For example, European vs Brazilian Portuguese. Anyways, this is definitely nothing too bizarre like the other posts in the sub, but it's just a casual little glitch I thought I'd mention. Case file number 684, written by lucidrolen, when love is all kinds of magical. So I'm on a weekend in a forest cabin. This happened just a few hours ago. My boyfriend has a watch that I bought him and he loves it. Later this day we were having fun and he has his watch on. He's always wearing it except for shower and sleep. And it's silly, but he remembers seeing his watch next to my skin while we were having fun, and he thought that was classy and sexy. So we are finished. I keep looking at him. My eyes are always on him. And he gets up. I see his wrist and the watch is not there. It was on a chair next to the couch, a chair he could not have access during our fun time because I was sitting on him. And I never saw him taking it off. My eyes were always on him. I would have seen it. And he has absolutely no memories of taking it off. He's absolutely sure he had the watch on. The watch is laying on the side, and it is weird because he really cares for this watch and never puts it down on the side, always flat. Right after he realized that the watch teleported, he got his right ear clogged and started feeling dizzy. He had to lay down. We really don't know what happened. We are going to ask the landlord of the cabin later if anything ever happened here like this. Okay, so the landlord took us hiking through the forest this afternoon. He told us that this cabin is often used by people with depression, PTSD, loss of memories. It's like a retreat, and he gives animal mediation sessions and everything. This is the only out-of-the-ordinary thing with this cabin. The watch wasn't on time anymore either. When we watched the time on the watch, it was 4 p.m., but in reality, it was 4:47 p.m. But my boyfriend did tell me that there is a possibility that he changed the time by mistake because he likes to play with the buttons. He doesn't really use it to keep track of time, more for the aesthetic. Creepy file number 31, written by CatzAgainstHumanity, an amusement park of horror. I was reminded of the story yesterday. A friend and I were 15 years old, female, and we were let loose at a top-rated theme park where you would never think something scary would happen. Her mother and stepdad took us on a designated holiday, and rain was expected. I thought fewer people would be there. In the early 90s, not many people went on an actual holiday. My friend and I had been up almost 24 hours on a sugar high. Leaving two 15-year-olds at home alone for weeks is not a fabulous idea, go figure. We were all over the place, loud, manic, laughing at stupid crap. Her mom made one thing clear. If employees thought we were drunk and kicked us out, we could just freeze our butts off in the car way out in the parking lot while they had fun for hours on end. This was long before cell phones, the internet, and we had no books. It would have been hell. As the park cleared out, we got real food at a park restaurant and settled down, enjoying our time there. At one point, we kept riding this one ride. Usually, operators after midnight would allow us to sit in the ride and go through multiple times before closing because nobody was there. We were back to being sleep deprived and probably looked very intoxicated for all intents and purposes. These two guys running this particular ride kept making us go through the maze of a line to get back on this ride. It took minutes of rushing just to get back in the front. Each time we were more and more tired and laughing more. I didn't realize there was a method to the madness. The fourth time we went through, the guys running it asked us to come over to their side of the ride, but we pointed out that we couldn't and wouldn't jump the track. They had us ride, again, a huge car with only us in it, and when we got off, they were there, each taking one of our arms and forcing us into a part of the ride where workers are only allowed. It took me a minute to realize what was happening. These guys were on the tall side and built at least college-aged. I thought they were twins, but realized my mistake. They looked similar because they had the same theme uniform and haircuts. We were still giggling, and when I saw the looks on their faces, I realized that we were in serious trouble with a shot of adrenaline. They looked determined, and their heads were on a swivel. We hadn't seen anyone walking around in hours. Everything had lights on, and music was playing. Still, we hadn't seen the usual workers perpetually cleaning the park. Nobody was operating food stands. It was a ghost town. The next thing I knew, the guy was walking off with my friend, and the guy on me pushed me back against a door. This is not good. I had a flash of insight. This is a brand name family amusement park they took us to because they think we are easy prey. They are taking a huge chance messing with us because we could identify them, and there are cameras everywhere. I knew I had to act dumb, like I had no idea what was going on, and then I heard the other guy saying, "Hey, she won't cooperate. You said she'd cooperate." Cooperate? Oh, hell no. I gave a fake giggle and pretended to stumble into the guy who backed up. I pretended I was going to puke, and he pointed to a trash can. I went the other way and saw my friend swaying with a scared look on her face. I jokingly stumbled into the guy and put her on my back, like I was giving her a piggyback ride. She was notorious for freezing from a childhood trauma. I had done this before. I shot out of there, singing loudly, sounding like a crazy drunk person. The park was closing soon, and I ran to the gates. My legs started giving out as we reached near the front. My friend was slowly being able to move again when her mom waved us over. While we never told her mom or my mom, I asked my dad's friend, who had a daughter who worked for the corporation near the park. He often got us free passes, that I wanted to interview her for my English class. A week later, he gave me her number, and I called and immediately blurted out what happened and to please not tell my parents. I gave her all the details, and she told me not to worry. They would be fired and banned before the next day. Later, I went back to the park with a boyfriend that year and never saw either of those guys again. I was told that the park would keep them out of that kind of work environment forever, similar to blacklisting. I was so thankful she took me seriously. She told me she had worked at the park as a teenager as a certain character and had creepy dads do all kinds of sleazy crap to her. So she had a particular ire for that kind of crap. I feel if I had sobered up and put up a fight, there would have been terrible consequences. But that was just my gut feeling at the moment. I am still friends with that lady all these years later. We occasionally use that story to warn her kids and grandkids that bad things can happen anywhere, so be cautious. Case notes: the amusement park of horror. So this story is making me think about my time back in Montreal. We have an amusement park there called La Ronde. It's situated on St. Helens Island. It's a nice amusement park. There's many rides, not the largest roller coasters, but they're pretty good. There's one that's made purely of wood. Well treated, I guess, because it's still standing. I remember when I was like 12. There's always a smaller guy, small kid. I was so tiny, just the right height I could get on it, but I was so thin that the metal bars that come down to restrain you to keep you from, falling off. I was literally, in the descent period, floating in my seat. My mom was next to me and just looking around like, what is going on? Why is he floating in the seat? There was just too much room between the bar and my seat. It's so thin. I think my favorite ride there is Le Bateau Pirate. It's a giant boat that swings back and forth, like that, kind of like a pendulum. I would always sit in the back of it, so I get the maximum effect. And you swing down and up like that. It was very fun. So anyways, to get to the island, you have to travel, well, you can take a car, but if you just want to go there without a car, you have to take the metro, which is our subway system. It runs under the river, where this is an island situated between Montreal and Longueuil, and you take the metro to get there. You don't come out right at the amusement park. You have to take the bus. There's a small bus that just ferries you to the La Ronde. When the park closes, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., depending on the day, then you take the bus back to the metro, and then the metro back to the city or to Longueuil. And I just mentioned this because I saw so many instances of guys and even one girl that just had no inclination to understand social boundaries, and they were probably all drunk. It's just confusing to me. I don't really understand alcohol. If this is how it makes people behave, why do they do it? I know it's supposed to be a social lubricant, but if you're going to behave that way, let's just say I feel comfortable enough without it, and I wouldn't want to be in a position where I couldn't have fun without losing my ability to control myself, if that makes sense. The nightlife, where you have alcohol everywhere, I guess it brings out who they really are and amplifies it. There's no filter, there's no internal barrier to prevent them from doing things that they know are probably not quite right, and they just do it anyways. It was very clever of you, though, to figure out a way to get out of the situation without actually physically fighting, because that could end up poorly. Good on you. Very clever.